Welcome back, everybody, to the JR Wisdom channel. I'm glad you guys came back. And as you can see, I have another topic that I felt like I had to do based upon a previous video I did where I got like all kinds of comments attacking my opinion, which is cool. I expected that. Not that it was really controversial, but I guess some people missed the point of the video, which was vanity. Not the fact of a man being buried in $100,000 casket. It is what it is. People were in the comment section writing essays and quoting scripture and all that, everything except what it was that I was talking about, and along the lines of we're not even going to concern ourselves with what this person did or what this person copped out to, or things that actually you have pastors doing that they're admitting to, or they're getting caught up, getting charged with, and you're still like, basically like, I don't care what my pastor does. He's cool in my book. So I welcome whatever you have to say about this one because I'm going to be talking about another pastor. So say what you want to say. I'm going to do some bashing, if you will. you know so it's cool. We talk about good deeds and what a person does for the community, how many lives they've changed, this, that, and the third. Not just so much with a holy person or a pastor, but just people in life. They say a man's good deeds far outweighs his weaknesses, same, so on and so forth. But I have mixed feelings on that because you're always remembered off the last thing you do. So it doesn't matter how many great things you did. If you do one thing, you're gonna, normally, especially if you die shortly after that, you're gonna be remembered by that. So let the bashing begin. I see things in the news, and we all see it in the news too often. You see it on these true crime shows going on. Pastors sleeping with people in the congregation, men and women, getting women pregnant in the congregation. These pastors are married. You have women fighting in the congregations. You have conspiracies like the pastor and a woman conspire to murder the husband, or vice versa. They conspire to murder the pastor's wife, so on and so forth. There were pastors that have murdered their wives, all because of adultery. The pastors, I believe one pastor was sleeping, he married a woman, and the woman had children, and he was sleeping with the woman's daughter and got the daughter pregnant, and things like that. So he ends up killing his wife and all kind of crazy. It's all kind of stories, committing adultery and, plotting murder. It happens. But I guess you say people always turn around and say, well, what about regular people? What about this? What about that? We're not talking about these people. Yeah, everybody is susceptible to that, at the end of the day. But when you're in a position where you're leading a flock, you have an example to set. Since you claim you're anointed, or you're chosen by God, you have an example to set. You know, you're not going to be perfect, but you can't be doing these things like this gentleman I'm about to talk to right now, and it's crazy. So within a church, the pastor is seen as a man of power. He's somehow the closest thing to God, so to speak, and women tend to want to get next to this man because of power. They're referred to as being anointed prophets, apostles, messengers, doctors, self-proclaimed doctors, etc. Was just to go off of that, even Pastor Mase even made it. He had his own flock going. He left the church, came back, left the church, came back, and his flock still accepted him. And he was rapping about killing, murdering, pushing coke, and all this other stuff, and people are still cool with it. So it's like everything is a go, everything is acceptable. I mean, how gullible can you really be, or how desperate do you need, or is leadership just like that, where you can do that and come back and say, you know, I'm a man of God at the end of the day after you do all these things? I don't know. Just my opinion. But having sex with women in the flock, you have women defending these guys, saying, well, maybe she was throwing herself at him. He's just a man. The flesh is weak. Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But these people always come out and say, I'm sorry. No, the thing is, you sorry you got caught. Just like this dude right here. He's sorry he got caught at the end of the day. Because who knows how long these people have been doing this stuff. Same thing with the other guy I did a video on, which I'm not going to talk about him, but who knows how long he was doing that. It's just the fact that you got caught, or you got some people that tell on you. You thought you had a bond with, so you got caught. So on to Mr. Pastor Jermaine Simmons of Jacob Chapel Baptist Church in Tallahassee. For 11 years, he was the pastor there, supposedly. He was supposed to release a book entitled, oddly enough, or ironically enough, I Need a Man. Yo, so he is a married man and he has a son. So where this whole scandal comes about on January 17th, there was a married couple, right? Um, there was a married couple, and the wife was home. So Mr. Pastor Jermaine happens to go over to the house to go see the wife, which is, first of all, is a big no-no. You don't go to anybody's house when the husband's not around. So y'all can argue that all you want, whatever. You don't go to anybody's house, especially the husband doesn't know, while the husband isn't around, to say you're going to talk about business, about some charity stuff, and then you end up having sex in your daughter's room. So who does this? Not only do you go to a man's house with his wife there, and then you have sex in the daughter's room as a pastor, a married pastor at that, committing adultery. So how they got caught, or how he got caught, is that the school called the wife to pick the son up. They weren't able to get in contact with the son, so they in turn called the next person, obviously, which is the other parent, the husband. So put yourself in that position. You're like, okay, well, my wife should be at home. Why isn't she picking up? Something must be going on. So he goes, picks up the son, comes home, comes in the house, and he sees his wife bent over and the pastor knocking her down. As a man, how would you feel? As a man, they say the closest thing, it was said, the closest thing to hellfire on earth is knowing another man is having sex with your wife, but to walk in on another man having sex with your wife, not just another man, a trusted man who's your pastor having sex with your wife, a man that you probably confided in about your wife, who you thought you could trust, is up in here butt naked, you know, I would say defiling, but she basically, this has been going on for a while, since October, I think she said something like that. So she's having sex with this guy, and the husband obviously, in a crime of, it's not a crime, but in the heat of the moment, he's obviously gonna go berserk, and who knows where the son is at this time, you know. So the pastor manages to escape the house, run outside, go hide behind a gate, butt naked, right? So this husband is obviously furious. He's going off, going to get his pistol, to do some damage. So his wife calls the cops. The cops show up, and meanwhile the husband gathers all the pastor's stuff, car keys, pants, belt, cell phone, all this stuff like that. And just imagine, were there any condom wrappers around? Or was this unprotected sex? Anyway, that's just something I'm just thinking about. It's crazy. So anyway, he does all that, and the wife, the cops show up. They take the report. They ask her, what, did he harm her? She says no. Based upon the threats and all that, she doesn't decide to press charges. Wow. And neither does the pastor decide to press charges. So the husband hands his, at the negotiations, I guess they got the NAACP involved. At the negotiation, he decides to hand the gun over to the NAACP and stuff like that. So nobody presses charges. So the pastor basically comes up, and knowing how, forgiving everyone is, he comes back into the church, gives his sermon about how no one should have to defend him. Basically, he was, victimizing himself and, basically his congregation, saying that they shouldn't have to defend him. This isn't anybody else's church. This is our church. This isn't the church of Tallahassee. This is nobody else's business. I'm you guys' pastor. And basically, they just clapping it up. Go ahead, pastor. Go ahead, pastor. All this stuff like that. And he pretty much had to gave a good sermon. And I'm gonna put the link in the description so you guys can watch it. But he gave a good sermon, and it's like basically cracking jokes during the sermon, and everybody was all for it in the congregation. You know, as far as a man, if men sitting in there and they're for it, I'm just thinking like, dude, your wife could be next, or maybe she's already been, one of his mistresses. You know what I'm saying? So he goes on to say that he won't step down. He was anointed by God, so to speak, and God wouldn't have chosen him to do this just for something as simple as him having sex with one of his parishioners' wives to take him out of his role as pastor. Just for having sex with another man's wife. I guess it's not that serious in church. The church was all for it, like I said. You can say anything when you're a pastor and they'll forgive you. He said nothing else matters is the fact that God forgave him. And he just says he hopes that everybody can forgive him. He said it hurts that his congregation has to defend him. Here's my thing. How long has he been knocking her down? And if he never would have gotten caught, would he still have been doing this? Did God Almighty orchestrate all these events, from the wife not picking the phone up, to the man coming home, to the pastor arriving to this point? It's funny how things work, but those apologies are all done because he knew that he's not going to have to step down. He knows they're going to believe everything he tells them, and they're going to accept it. And this is what I don't respect. You will defend this man at all costs. You will defend these pastors at all costs. They are above reproach, and it doesn't matter what they do. They can't do any wrong. But if your husband does the same thing, will you have the same, leeway for him? Does he have the same leeway? It's just something I'm thinking about. But I'm pretty sure he'll go on to have a successful career as a pastor, and he'll probably continue to knock people's wives down, and do his thing, because obviously this wasn't the first time. So the wife or that husband, I don't know what's going to become of them, but she obviously has no respect for him, no respect for their marriage. The pastor obviously has no respect for his marriage. So these people are just, I don't know. So leave your comments. I'm anxious to hear them. I'm anxious to see how, we all sin. We all do this. We all do this. You've never done this. Da, 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 da. He's a pastor. I'm not a pastor. Yes, we all sin. You have a flock. When you're leading a flock, you can't be doing these things. So that's all I got to say. I know I've tarried for a little too long. Feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook. Links in the description. Check out my books on Amazon. Links are there as well. I just started an Instagram up. Follow me on Instagram. I'll follow you back. And I'll catch y'all on the next video. Anything that is lost can be found again except for time wasted. Just remember that. Catch y'all on the next video. Peace.